Hey guys, we're back with the Screen Team, being joined by Steve Lewis for this whole edition of the show. We got some pretty good films for you. We just got done reviewing Arthur. Our next film is considered one of the greatest films of all time. The movie is called The Graduate, starring Dustin Hoffman. And Steve, for those who haven't seen it, we meet Dustin Hoffman's character. He's in college, and we see...
A recent graduate of college.
A recent graduate of college, and we see that... kind of like most college students, they don't really kind of know what the next step is in their life.
In the first 30 minutes, I think he says the line, "I'm a little bit worried about my future," 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
That's right. And, this is not only a great film, it's one of my favorites. And when people ask me, what's the best film you've ever seen, I more often will say The Graduate than anything else. And that's a different question than your favorite.
Okay.
But the best, judging it based upon all the criteria of merit that a critic might look at.
So, being the best film you've ever seen, I'm assuming that it covers everything: acting, screenplay, direction,
cinematography, editing, lighting, the pacing, the whole thing. Yeah, you got it.
My goodness. So, like we said, we meet Dustin Hoffman. He doesn't really know where to go on with his life, but there's somebody there who wants to kind of nudge him in a certain direction, and that is Mrs. Robinson, played by Anne Bancroft. And
love her.
She is a friend of the family, and she's
not just a friend of the family. She is his father's business partner's wife.
And she wants to be a little bit more with Dustin Hoffman's character.
She is interested in him, yeah.
So let's talk about their dynamic. I mean, we see she's an older woman. She is very intent on taking care of Dustin Hoffman in a certain sense, and Dustin is a little nervous. He's a little nervous.
He's quite a bit nervous. He's a little bit uncertain about his future.
Exactly.
She basically propositions him, lures him to her house in the classic scene where he's standing there in her sunroom, and he says, "Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me," and she giggles it off. "No, I'm not. Would you like me to?" And he's ready to bolt. And basically it's left. Anytime you are interested in me, I'm here, just a phone call away. And then a few weeks later, he's picking up the phone. So it's not just Miss Robinson who is at fault here. It's not like he was lured to her as some spider into a web.
Right.
He takes a little initiative here too. He's bored. I mean, he's a college graduate. He's home for the summer. He has nothing to do. He has no friends. If you think about those scenes where his parents throw him a graduation party, and who is at the graduation party?
All of their friends.
All of his parents' friends. Right. There's not one person his age there.
I didn't even think about that.
And then 2 weeks later, they're throwing him a birthday party. Again, none of his friends are there. He's got no friends, and maybe he's an old soul and is into, people who are a little bit older, because that's what he's around all of the time.
Sure.
And so naturally, Mrs. Robinson might be, someone he'd be more interested in than an average college graduate like that, at that age. But the way that's all played out, his loneliness, the fact that he's a little uncertain about his future is underscored by the cinematography and by some of the scenes. The movie opens with him being pushed along a people mover in an airport. And then in the next scene, he's in his bedroom, and it's a close-up of his head in front of a fish aquarium, almost giving the illusion that his head is removed from his body, bobbing around in the water, all underscoring this notion of, I'm lonely, I don't know what to do, I'm lost in the sea of the world. And then, what does his father give him for a birthday present but scuba gear? Pushes him into the pool and says, demonstrate it. Yeah. And he didn't want to be there, and we're left with this shot of him just standing on the bottom of the pool holding this scuba spear with this mask, and he's all enclosed, and you can't even hear him. He can't even hear him, So why wouldn't he go with Mrs. Robinson? This is his existence.
Yeah,
at least it's a little fun.
I love that scene where you see him. It's almost like a dream scene where he's out in the pool, and he's lying on a raft, and he's got the sunglasses on, and it's very dreamlike state, and you see him walk.
That montage of,
You see him walk out of the pool and kind of walk into this room, and then the room transforms into the bedroom with Mrs. Robinson, and I was like, wow, that's
and that
such
goes
a great
on,
scene.
That goes on for like 10 minutes. I mean, it's a long montage, and he'll go into this room, and it's his bedroom. Mm-hmm. He'll go into that room, and it's the motel room. Yeah. And then the next scene, he's walking out into the pool again.
Sure.
And it's beautifully edited together.
Yeah. All right, so there should be no problems, right? We got Dustin Hoffman. He's a college graduate. He's got the world at his oyster. He's got an older woman who finds him attractive. So that should be the end of the movie, right? Nothing else happens, right?
Well,
no?
Except
what happens?
Elaine Robinson comes along.
Oh,
Mr. Robinson wants Benjamin to date his daughter, and Mrs. Robinson is not having any of that.
No, she's not.
Of course, she's not. He is the kind of guy who would sleep with, her.
Right.
She doesn't want that for her daughter.
Not at all, man.
And so he's sort of forced into taking Elaine out on a date. Treats her really poorly on that first date, but somehow they manage to form some sort of bond. Yeah, and when Mrs. Robinson finds out about this, when the two of them find out about this, the whole thing explodes. The truth comes out about Ben and Mrs. Robinson's affair. Basically ends in, well, we get the idea that there's a divorce inevitable for Mr. and Mrs. Robinson. And beautiful cinematography right there when Mrs. Robinson is so defeated in the hallway right outside Elaine's bedroom, right after Ben has rushed in to tell Elaine the truth. And she's just shattered. I mean, the way they have captured that, and then the camera pulls away from her as if to say, this is one doomed woman, but she snaps back out of it.
It's amazing. I never realized how talented Anne Bancroft is as an actress. Not only was she top notch for this role, she's been nominated 3 or 4 times for leading actress or supporting actress for other films. I had no idea. I just thought she was the wife of Mel Brooks, and I had no idea she had such a spectacular career.
She won the Academy Award for The Miracle Worker.
That's right.
She did. Before.
She did. So we've got Dustin Hoffman, we've got Catherine Ross, and we get to the final scene, which is another famous scene where Dustin Hoffman wants to break up the marriage of Catherine Ross's character with another guy, right?
Right. So he races to this church, and the church is locked. He finds a back door. He races to the balcony, and he sees them. The marriage is done. The pastor's saying, kiss the bride. They're kissing. They are married. And then he starts, banging on the glass back there at the end of the balcony. Elaine! Elaine! And some have suggested that that's some sort of Christ image, his hands outstretched like that. Actually, he was just making sure he didn't break the glass. I heard that in an interview somewhere. Nice. And Elaine turns around, and there's Ben calling for her, and she does the absolute unthinkable and runs away with him.
Yeah.
She knows what he did with her mother. What kind of a future is she?
Why
just married a guy.
Why does she do that? Why?
I show this film to my film class every semester, and I ask that question: why does Elaine go with him?
Yeah.
Ladies in the class, would any of you have run away with this guy?
Right.
And I think the best answer is, it's a film about rebellion. He's feeling his oats, sowing his wild oats in a sense throughout the whole movie.
Sure.
Well, she hasn't had much of an opportunity to do that herself, and now she's been forced into this marriage by her parents with this blonde guy. He's just a nobody. He's just somebody who's not been. Let's get them married. And she doesn't want that either, and so she just runs away from it all. Mm-hmm. I think she's running away more than she is running with Ben. She's just getting away from the Robinson household. And
we kind of see that when we see the final scene where you see Dustin Hoffman and Catherine Ross. They're in the back of the bus. You kind of see them smiling at each other like, hey, we've come out victorious here.
And that's great cinematography. The camera stays on them too long, and they start looking at each other. And if it was a happy ending, Here they are. They're happy. They're
Happy.
smiling. Movie over.
And to black. Yeah, fade to black.
No, but we hang on them just long enough to wonder, wait, is this really a future?
Yeah. Movie is
And then they
called
drive away.
Movie's called The Graduate, man. So good. Did it win Best Picture?
It did not.
Did not win Best.
No.
What did win that year?
And this was 1967. It might have been the musical Oliver.
It sounds about right, man. It sounds about right.
Not the best choice.
Typical Academy kind of stuff there. The movie is called The Graduate. You can find it on DVD. Coming up after the break, we're going to review Fargo, and I'm hoping Steve can give me a little insight on why Fargo is so great, because I've seen it a couple times, and
You don't get it.
I don't get it. Hopefully he'll explain it to me next, right here on the Screen Team.